episode of Quilt with the Stars is brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing, and Koala Cabinets, sewing furniture custom built in America. Hello, you're watching Quilt with the Stars. I'm Mary Fons, and I'm here with Vanessa Christenson. Welcome to Quilt with the Stars.
Thank you for having me, Mary.
I feel like you're one of the people in the blogosphere that's like, you're just a big name in the blogosphere.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks.
Your website is?
VanessaChristenson.com.
Okay, and it's and your blog is there at the website, so they just click on the blog link.
Yeah.
And how long have you been blogging?
Actually, it's probably around 7 years now, because it was right around the time that my husband was getting deployed. I started the blog so that he could see what we were doing around the house. Great. And some of the do-it-yourself kind of things that I was doing around the house.
So it was a way for him to see, you know, to stay connected to the family.
Right.
And a lot of people loved it too.
Right. Well, what I started noticing is that my husband wasn't actually commenting. It was a lot of people that I didn't really know were commenting. And what started was that I would just show the things that I was doing, and I started getting the comments of, well, how did you make it? Can you show us how you made it? So I started doing the step-by-step pictures of the projects that I was doing around the house. And then, of course, I sprinkled a lot of just stories with the kids and stuff like that. And being a single mom during that year while he was in Afghanistan. And then that's how the blog actually grew. And I started doing a lot of just do-it-yourself kind of things that incorporated lots of things, like from twine to fabric to just lots of things.
Well, and quilts, of course, made an appearance soon, and we have a lot of your quilts here today, beautiful quilts. And so let's take a look at some of these things. And some of these things can be found on your blog, and we can give more information about that. Tell me about your fabric that you've used in this quilt. It's yours.
Sure. Okay, so I am a fabric designer, and I design fabric for Moda Fabrics. And a lot of my designs tend to be a little bit more on the simpler side. You see a lot of two-toned colors, high saturation colors. I like to focus on each color individually, and so naturally I like the more simpler looking fabrics. And a lot of times, sometimes we do crossover so that we have a little bit of a tie of the other colors that go on with the fabric line. But you won't generally see more than 4 different colors in my fabrics.
I was looking, and you know, it's pink and white, it's blue on blue, blue on blue. There's a little bit of white and 2 colors of green, but over and over again you keep it really basic, and it's very fresh looking, and it's very it's a little bit retro maybe, but it seems very of the moment.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, now we flip this one upside down, so let's flip it back. This is a runner that is one of your newer lines, correct?
Yeah, this is my newest line. It's Color Me Happy, and we focused on the blues and the greens and the gray. This is actually a quilt pattern, but we just made it into a table runner, and it's called Lucky Stars. And in the pattern, we actually used the whole entire fabric line, so it's really great. It has pinks and some other colors as well in it that go with the fabric line.
And would they find this on your blog, or would they find it at Moda?
Yes, both places.
Both, great.
You can find it in my shop, and that's tied off of the blog as well. And this is really fun because it's a wonky star, and you get to use a jelly roll on this one. So it's really a lot simpler than what it looks to be.
Looks good.
Perfect.
And now this is a bit of a departure, but I want to talk about it because it involves your book.
Right.
Okay.
So I have a book, and it's called Make It So Modern. And like you notice, I actually like to do high saturation, and a lot of times that includes solids. So with solids, you get a lot of play if you do texturing. And so my whole book was focused on texturing and either pleating or gathering or twisting fabric. And so this is actually one of the projects. Again, here we go again. You see my personality showing through in the quilt, where it's just two-toned, and the main focus is this gather and these doilies right there.
Is this ruching? Is that the right word, or is it just gathered?
I gathered both sides, so ruching.
Okay, yeah. Garment sewers know those terms a little bit better than me, and I know you have a background in sewing too. We'll talk more about that later, but Okay, so, and now we get into the gradients.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the main things that I focused on, and I usually do with all of my fabrics line, is this gradient idea of starting with a lighter tone going down to the darkest tone. So you see this dark navy right here, and then it has the lightest right here. Yes. We have a lot of different colors with the gradient. And what I love about gradient fabric is that you can play so much with just one piece of fabric and half square triangles, and you create this gorgeous kind of jewelry looking large block.
Didn't you say your daughter or her friend said it looks like diamonds, or it looks like, you know?
Yeah, when you are far away from it, it looks kind of like it's like kind of diamond-y jewels. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, and by the way, the V & Co. is your company name.
Yes.
Can you tell me who the Co.
Okay,
is?
so originally when, email and everything and trying to get letting all our family know what we were up to, I would always sign off at the bottom of our letters as V & Co. Love V & Co.
Yeah.
And the Co is actually my 4 kids and my husband. Nice. And so actually now, because the Co actually means something, I have a few of them actually stuffing some patterns for me as well. So it works great.
Put those kids to work. And you know, this was one of the first patterns that really put you on the map, I think.
Right. This is the houndstooth, and it was definitely, it's my first pattern that I made into a paper pattern. And it's, again, just using 2 solid colors and really showing off the pattern of the houndstooth. And my inspiration for this quilt was I was looking on the runway and I was noticing that houndstooth was really popular one year. And I said, hey, you know what? That would look really awesome on a quilt.
Yeah, so, and I remember when I saw this first and I thought how brilliant that you did it, because it's perfectly suited to patchwork. The houndstooth, if you just break it down into the shapes that it is.
Absolutely.
I thought this was really smart, and so did a lot of people.
Thanks. This was my first fabric line, and it was the Simply color. And again, you see like the total saturation of the fabrics, and you see a few of them that have the 4 different colors, but mainly, you know, a lot of two-toned and high saturation. And this one is called Hopscotch, and that one can be found on my website as well.
The wonky stars are really sweet.
Wonky stars.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at some of the things on the wall.
Sure.
So let's go over here, this bunting, sort of baby bunting. Tell me about this one.
Right, so this is, I was talking to you a little bit earlier about how I have 2 different personalities when I quilt.
Right.
When I create patterns, I'm either given the option of using a whole fabric line, which obviously now being a fabric designer, you want to show off how a fabric collection goes beautifully together.
Right, right.
This is one of the examples where the fabric line is a beautiful collection together, and I used the whole entire fabric line, and it creates this beautiful, it's a bunting, and it was, and it just goes beautifully together.
It does. So that's all one fabric line. Those are all SKUs or different fabrics within that line.
Yes.
Okay, it's great. The stripe is so cool, and it looks awesome as the little bunting cords.
So this is one of my personalities where I have to use the whole entire fabric line, and then I have more of like my own personal personality. You know, I like to focus on each color individually, or how awesome a color can gradiently be placed together.
Like that one.
Yes.
This is really neat.
So this is my bloom quilt, and this one really is just using a jelly roll, which is the 2.5-inch strip, and of the gradient fabric, and it creates this gorgeous effect of using so many different shades of one color. Like I've mentioned, I love focusing on just the pink, just the blue, just the gray, just the green. And this was a perfect way to demonstrate the gradient fabrics and focusing on each color individually.
It's extraordinary. The pink border, the way that it looks like it's shining because of that, the light and the dark. It's so cool. Okay, and we have more gradient over here. So tell me about this.
This one is the bubbles, and this one is, again, using the gradient. This is actually the one that my friend, my little daughter's friend, said, it looked like diamonds, you know, because it's like bubbles and the circles. And so here we actually focused where you see the 2 bubbles coming together. You actually see that the navy and the green is in that little connecting fabric. And then on the top, you have the teal and the green as well. This one was specifically thought up for my son's room, and it looks awesome on on a twin bed.
It's great design. How they overlap and you have the colors there is really cool.
And of course, this is just that gradient fabric, using it half square triangle, kind of like that last one that we did with the ombre Dutchman as well.
And then the sort of the coup de grace, we had to end with the heart.
Right.
Because this is the best of that too.
Right.
It's gorgeous. You made these half square triangles with your gradient pink.
Yes.
And I asked, one of the first questions I had about this is, did you just totally randomize how you put your pinks together? Can you tell me the answer to that?
Yes, it is kind of random, but it is kind of planned as well.
Yeah.
So the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
So we have, we cut our strips a little bit larger than what our half square triangles are, because I like to trim them down to be perfect half square triangles.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we did on our strip, we cut it up and we did our units of 4.5-inch squares or 3.5-inch squares. And then I just placed them on next to each other in gradients. And then I picked the pink, the lightest pink and the darkest pink, and then in between. And so I just combined them together and then did my half square triangles. Then I just laid them out, and that's actually a little bit more random. And then afterwards you actually see like there's like a lot of fun different shapes in there that kind of pop out accidentally sometimes.
Yeah, stars sort of form, 8-point stars, and it's just beautiful.
And like little chevrons or stuff like that.
Z's and S's and things. It's really neat. And
this is by far one of my most favorite quilts.
I'm glad we ended on that one. Thanks for coming and showing all of your beautiful quilts on Quilt with the Stars, Vanessa.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. Bye. This episode of Quilt with the Stars is brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing, and Koala Cabinets, sewing furniture custom built in America.